What I found problematic when listening to all of this is what appeared to me the reduction of architecture to an aesthetic embellishment and something that is added on top of something else, rather than seeing what is there already as architecture, because it is the space that is there. And then I was wondering how do we look if this is not considered architecture? I mean, what is it then? What these spaces are? And you're the only one who can really, from first-hand experience, tell us how to use them, how they have an impact on you after a certain period of time, and what you might want different. I mean, is it already all there that humans need when they go there, or is there something that would be wanted, not only as an aesthetic surplus that you add afterwards, but something that would be a basic condition how habitat that is not on spaceship Earth but in outer space should be, should feel like, should provide to conduct also all kinds of experiments. I mean, you didn't speak much about that in your presentation, but it was very much part of the CV you had sent, and so I think it would be interesting to go also to that intersection. It's not just a leisure space, but it's very much a space where people work for an extended period of time and have to make it work to get along with each other. And I think that's also crucial. How do you share a space under such limited constraints? I mean, you said before it was meant for 2 people, and then there were 6 there.
Say the Mir space station was made for 2 people, and there were sometimes more than 2, and so you of course had to use the available room for installing your own things, and so you didn't really have crew quarters. But that's not the case anymore in the space station. So we have a crew quarter. So I think this is something, another place where maybe we could have some kind of artistic or architecture ideas in order to improve these crew quarters. Might be the first place. But as I said before, I think for longer missions, it would be very important to have a place where you can really disconnect from your usual environment, which is only, I mean, hardware, equipment, and technical environment. And I think, yeah, there is some room for ideas and improvement, but again, the main aspect, the main driver would be the cost, and of course you have to. We would have to find something which is also, of course, helping the crew in disconnecting from its work environment, but also which have some functionality, and this is where the key things would be, I think, to be able to be accepted by the program and the budget providers.
So I think it's critical to consider the purpose of the mission or the flight, and so I'd draw your mental attention back to the matrix I showed at the end of my talk. So far, all missions have been missions, and the purpose of a mission is to conduct science experiments, to validate hardware, to perform some human Earth observation, to do those kinds of things. It has not been for fun, right? So it is reasonable, completely reasonable, that the architecture you've seen in these images looks to us like an environment we would not want to live in. It's eminently practical and usable and just as appropriate for those mission crews as the interior of a submarine is for a Navy crew. But when you get to the point where the people on board are passengers and their economic driver is that they wrote a very large check to be there, their mission is about fun, and that's very different. So I wouldn't want us to accidentally begin criticizing the designs that are flying now. They do what they do for a reason, and they're driven by the economics of fun not being a primary part of the mission. So that's appropriate. But in the future, that will be inverted. And I think that's something to look forward to and to think about as designers.
May I just compliment a little bit? I fully share your view. The International Space Station, as we have it now, is internationally wise the biggest research lab what we have on Earth, full stop. And this is what it was designed for, and this is the working condition for the people who are working there. And this was never thought to be for years living there, never thought to be available for passengers and so on. That's what I meant earlier. It depends how you approach the full thing. So what we have done is we have built a lab which is in providing low gravity or zero gravity conditions for conducting scientific research. This is the main purpose, full stop. And this is what we have built. And therefore, my intervention at the beginning was, if we do not accept to approach that differently, we will always be faced with this kind of problem. Or if we have other purposes, as you have explained with space tourism, then we get other design drivers, so to say, for our system engineers, and they have to think about well-being. Or if we get the design drivers to have people 3 years on board, then maybe this is not acceptable, this environment again. Maybe it's acceptable, I mean, if you have not a long-term mission like Mr. De Vienna now, he was there for 6 months. So you have been there for 2 weeks or something like that, which is completely foreseeable time frame, so to say. But if you're talking about things like settlement or something like that, it changes the picture completely. So therefore, again, this was my argument at the very beginning, it depends what you want. And finally, we got what we have asked for at the end of the day.
Well, I'd just like to add that I also think that what we have now, this big international and truly international space station, is also a test bed. It's like the opportunity if we want to test how we can fly to Mars and back. And we have this space, we have all the technologies, you know, to go there and come back, basically developed, so we could also make use of the space in a different way. And thus we can, you know, make many more experiments, because we will, you know, which are also into the direction of more living, you know, remotely and isolated than it is practiced now, and that would also include, you know, experiments in the field of architecture and design. And I think this would be really, that's what we somehow could think of.